Hey everybody, Dave here, Hidden Freedom, and welcome back to another video. In this video, I want to talk about the fire savings rate and why it's super critical that you start tracking this metric today. That way you can retire earlier, sooner, and enjoy those mojitos on the beach. Alright, let's not waste any time. Let's go ahead and get started. Alright, let's go ahead and look at another tab here that I created, History X here. So I've made another video quite some time ago talking about all the numbers in here, at least up to 2021, I think, or 2022. So I'm not going to go into great detail about these numbers today. I'm just going to, kind of talk about, this is kind of my work history here. Obviously starting with fast food, going into a technician role after fast food, joining the military, starting to go to school at night, whatnot. Got out of the military, got a full pay, full-time job out of the military. Worked on my bachelor's at night, got that, and then eventually got another job that paid for my master's, and then got a master's. So, senior engineer there, and then into my role now. I'm kind of showing you my net worth there, starting at basically zero at age 35 in 2010, and then also the debt that and these numbers are not exact. I mean, they're just what I can recall because I didn't track any of the stuff, when I was my 20s and whatnot. So that's kind of my debt there for schooling, cars and whatnot. It wasn't until age 35 there I started with a net worth of zero, and then started obviously making more money, and then started saving a lot more. Didn't start tracking the savings rate there. Had some rentals there. Didn't find the FIRE movement, so financial independence, retire early, or recreational employment. Did not find that until 2014. So I was already on my way. So I kind of had a head start there, right? $380,000 to my name there, roughly. Still had some debt. I wasn't making debt a super priority because it was those were school loans that got left there, and they were super low, 3.3% or something like that. What I'm trying to show here is just kind of starting at zero, reaching FIRE here at in 2014 at age 39. So roughly about 4 years into tracking stuff. And then started tracking my FIRE number, or my savings rate there. Now, granted, this is take-home pay. Okay, so take-home pay savings rate there. I'm not really talking about any of the tax-deferred accounts at all. This is strictly take-home pay savings rate, which you really need to be doing. You're not going to really probably reach FIRE in the time frame that you want to reach it unless you significantly save your post-tax money. And, there's two reasons why you need to do that, right? Number one is you need to have some brokerage capital to bridge you to the gap of being aged 59, or some people 55, when they can actually truly retire and start drawing off those, those tax deferred accounts, right? The 401ks, the IRAs, and whatnot. Now, granted, there's some loopholes with Roth and whatnot if the money stays in there. That's why I created a Roth ladder here, spreadsheet. So I'm not talking about the pre-tax accounts. This is strictly take-home pay. Okay, so I max my HSA out. I max my 401k out every single year. And I've been doing that the last roughly maybe 5 years or so. I have not been doing it my entire life at all. And, I was really just putting the minimum in there to get the match, and then some years I just do 10% and whatnot. So I really focused a lot on the post-tax accounts, or my brokerage accounts. And then it wasn't until I started making more every year that I really was getting hit on taxes. So I just started maxing all those accounts out. And that's what I do now. Matter of fact, this year I front-loaded it because I wasn't working the entire year this year in 2022, nor did I work most of 2021 either. That's the reason why, we got 0% there, because, if weren't really following my channel, I retired last year in April of 2022 last year. I made roughly about, I think $70,000 or something like that before I quit. And then I call that mini retirement. I had all intentions of never coming back to work. Went and hiked the Appalachian Trail, You can look at that video on my other channel. I wrote, basically videoed every single day on the Appalachian Trail. And then when I got back in 2020, I actually finished the trail in 2022. I didn't start working until February of 2023. So went back to work as a contractor. And this year I'm at 55% of my take-home pay got saved. Okay. Next year I'm projected about 65%. These are obviously just projections here. Now I have a super low living expenses, and I'll talk about that in a second here. But in order to get this number to be really high, like in the 90s, you have to have a super low, expenses, right? There's no real way that you can have a 95% take-home pay savings rate with having, unless you have a really high income and then you just have, say, average. I wouldn't even say average. If you have, say, the expenses that I have at $24,000 a year, now I added about $1,000 a month there in padding, so roughly about $36,000 is what I calculate mine at. Even though really I could get away with $24,000 of living per year, unless you have a super high income, and I'm talking about like $400,000, and you have, say, $24,000 in living expenses, you're not going to be able to really get that number to be much higher than 90%, right? I'm saving almost everything I take home at this point, right? It's just a little, 24,000. Matter of fact, I, pad it, right? 36,000 or so. So yeah, my goal is roughly about 70%. And you can look at my other numbers here. I had some bonuses and whatnot, and maybe I had lived in a hotel for 6 months out of the year, that particular year, or something like that. So, bonuses, and I had stock options, so those might have been vested. So I might have had like 4 years of vesting stocks, so that all got paid out. So it's probably how I got 80% that year. But in general, I'm right around that 65 to 70%. And even when I was living in Denver, I was able to still save a significant amount of my take-home pay, even though I was paying state tax as well. Now I'm in a tax-free state right now, and probably for the foreseeable future. And I highly suggest that other people do that too. It saves you $12,000 a year, money that's just paid to taxes, right? So that's another way that I'm able to take more money and keep more money. Take home more money and keep more of my own money, right? So no state tax. Not to mention, I also live super cheap, right? I'm living in a 45-foot bus, and that's, one of the ways I can live super cheap. In general, I'm saving almost every single thing I make, and that's how I get a super high savings rate. Now, I blocked out my net worth here because I'm just not sharing that information anymore. Now, granted, if you buy my spreadsheets, you can get that information in there. So I'm not really trying to share that information because people are starting at zero, and they might feel like it's out of reach for them or something like that, or other people with much larger accounts than me, or look at me and whatever. It is what it is, right? Everybody's in competition with themselves. We're not in competition with anybody else at all on YouTube or in life. In life in this country, nobody really shares that information, but it probably would actually help if people actually did share that information, because it helps people understand that, should I be doing this? Should I be tracking this information? Should I be tracking my net worth? Should I be striving to have a higher net worth? Should I, these are the things that people really don't talk about in this country. Right, unless you found the FIRE movement, right? So that's I haven't really talked about when I'm going to FIRE next, but roughly about 2027, 2028, and that's just new personal goals that I have to reach a certain number, or to have a certain amount of things that I'm trying to acquire. Now, I'm not really, it's always been my dream to have a shop outfitted with a bunch of tools and stuff, so I can wrench and stuff on cars. And so I just kind of collecting some of that stuff. If you want to reach FIRE in 10 years, now granted for me, could I have reached that number? So, they're 10 years right there, 2010 to 2020, 1.5 million. Could you FIRE at 1.5 million? Yeah, you probably could, especially, being at 45 years old, right? It just depends on your goals, right? If you want a fat FIRE, then maybe you need a higher net worth, right? And it's not all about the net worth. It's also about how much money you have in your pre-tax, how much money you have in your post-tax, and other investments you might have, right? I had some rentals there. I also had some fixed income and real estate notes. Okay, so I track my real estate notes as well. You can reach it in 10 years if you obviously have a lower income. Just say an average income of $70,000 a year. Can you get there? Yeah, you can still get there, but you're going to have to track your numbers. You're going to have to set your take-home pay a little bit lower probably. You're going to have to max out your accounts. Maybe you have a Roth. Max that Roth out if you can. And then maybe for you, your goal is 15 years or something like that, right? Obviously, if you have a lower income, it's just going to take you a little bit longer probably. And that's okay. Like I said, we're all on a different journey here, and I don't even know what the definition of early retire really is. I think just looking at other people, early retirement is anything earlier than 65 years old, theoretically. Some people are lucky enough to retire at 55 with a pension and whatnot, but not everybody has that option. How many times have I said whatnot? Not everybody has that option. So everybody's going to be on their own journey, and do not compare yourself to anybody else. Just, look at other people as a reference, things you can learn about what they're doing, things that you can kind of better with yourself. If you can, try to work on getting a higher salary through your career, and also work on your expenses, because your expenses are the number one thing that you can control, and you can make a change immediately with your expenses. I do track my expenses. I just don't have it in this spreadsheet because this is one of the spreadsheets I actually share out. So I would say that your expenses are the number one thing, and then followed by, if you can increase your salary over time. Now, I get it. Some people are just not in high-paying career fields, and that's okay. Maybe you're a power couple or something like that, so you both make, say, $70,000 each. That's a significant amount of money that you're bringing home. You should have a decent take-home pay. And then also maybe you want to work on your investments. For me, I just mostly invest in index funds right now. Now, I was doing mostly dividends for a while, but right now I'm just 3,000 shares of SPY as my main investment, because I'm trying to grow this portfolio significantly over the next 5 years so I can reach my goals, and then hopefully get out of Dodge permanently. Obviously, if things turn negative, or I don't like what's going on at work, I can just go back to quitting immediately, because I'm doing better now than I had been when I retired at 47 years old. So I don't want this video to get too long. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, leave a comment down below. I'll surely answer those in an upcoming video. Let me know what your savings rate is, and have a happy holidays. We'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.